So this video will be an example of tuning a car in Gran Turismo 5, in this case an NSX Type S0 from 97. So sometimes you can have race car alterings here. This isn't available. You can increase the stiffness of the chassis. You can have an engine rebuild. This will often give you a little bit of downforce, which doesn't alter horsepower but can alter downforce, and downforce will be a result in performance points, as you can see here. See? And then you can just pick whatever type you like or you think fits with the car. It doesn't matter which type you pick for the performance points that you can gain. So even if you cannot rebuild your engine, you normally can refresh your oil. It gives some performance points and especially horsepower points, as you can see. So now we are approaching 300 horsepower already. You can also alter the paint, and if you pick additional rims, so other rims than the standard ones, you can also repaint them in a later stage. So for example, if you go with these ones, you can repaint them. You can repaint the car as well, but for example, if you want to repaint only these rims, and you say, okay, I have some rims, but I want to have them, these are all the kinds of paints that you acquired in time. For example, you want to paint them white or something else. Let's do something else. For example, jet blue, like this. Then you go to paint, costs you one painting token. This is the result. Quite stylish. And already it looks nice, also has a nice color, so I don't want to change the color of the car. You can also wash the car so that it shines a little bit more, but it's okay as well. So this is just some preparations. Now we can go to the real tuning of the car. First you have to acquire some things in the shop. I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. Sometimes you can also buy tires for terrain, which I just did, or snow. This is funny if you want to play that tracks. If you don't, it doesn't need to be done. Also sport tires you don't need to acquire normally, only if you want to perform at sports car level max. Best tires are here, the soft ones. You could go for harder ones, than for example medium or hard if you want to do an endurance race. I always opt this suspension for the best suspension you can get, and this on the right you can fully adjust. Why I do this? Because if you do this, you go for the best, you don't waste money unnecessarily. This is the transmission part, so this will only help you have additional pickup. And always buy the best ones if you can, so you don't have to double buy them. This is the differential. This helps a lot if one tire has traction and the other doesn't, so to transfer the power to that tire that has traction. And this is the gearbox, which you can adjust to your preferences. So for example, when you want it to shift, or what is your top speed that you're aiming at. Here sometimes you can get turbos or superchargers, but this NSX doesn't want that. So you have to do it all naturally aspirated, pure Honda way. These are the exhausts. and then after this we can do the intake side as well. And again, buy the best one. Especially this race, the air filter is very cheap, and even if you have little money, it can give you a little bit of boost. This is a naturally aspirated engine. All the magic has to happen here, because you don't have forced induction by turbos or superchargers. But as you can see, it's already approaching over 500 performance points and almost 450 horsepower. And this part is especially for lightening the car, which is good as well. It increases performance point as well. And the lighter it is, the easier it will handle. So as you can see, on the right bottom, the carbon hoods are not available. This increases the stiffness of the chassis, which is also good for turns especially. Now if you want to see how it stacks up against other NSXs that I have, I will just show you. I think I have the most NSXs in the standard car category, so we'll go to that first. Go to Honda. And you can select on model, of course this could also help, or performance points. So this is for example a Loctite Mugen NSX that has over 600 performance points. You won't approach any of that. Same with this mobile racing car. But here we are, 536 points. That's better than the NSX Type R of 92, and also better as compared to the NSX R concept already, which is crazy because this is less horsepower and same weight. Oh, it has less, okay. So this isn't crazy, this is just as it should be. You can increase some points by increasing downforce at the bottom. Brakes, because it's a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, I will put much pressure on the front brakes. This will be the suspension. This is quite easy. You want to lower this so that you have a lower center of gravity, and you want to increase the stiffness of the springs as well. It gives you a more planted ride. And then in this example I go for the maximum to give you some insight what it does. And then you remember the gearbox that I mentioned. You can adjust it. Since you see it only has 447 horsepower, more than 300 top speed is not necessary. I think this is even most optimal, but let's go for 300. Okay, now we have a car that is done. You can see how it looks now. More planted as well. Huh? Let's just throw it into a competition to see how it copes. This is the highest competition you can enter it in. It's a little bit overkill for it. So let's go one level lower, expert level. Then you could go for tuning car or turbo car. These are quite accessible. Also sports car perhaps. There's a mid-engine cup, you can also do this. Let's do it. This NSX also mid-engine. Let's take this track. Deep Forest Raceway. You see here the competition including McLaren or F1 and some Ferraris. Also Lotus Esprit. We already did the adjustment. There's also a Celine S7 and an Enzo Ferrari and Zonda at the bottom. Also a Lamborghini Countach. And of course our car at place 7. So normally those competing cars should eliminate this NSX, but with this tune it could be more competitive. I think it should even be able to win, but we will see in a minute now. You see it has quite a nice pool. Also quite good to the bends, at least a very stable platform. Not that tail happy, which some tail happiness can help you to go to bends easier, of course, but will also be not so nice when you're taking a corner at high speeds and you go into a drift. Spectacular, yes, but not so nice for your speed and times of the round that you're approaching. I think this is it. What's the CZ? V16 turbo. Okay, now the track is cleared a little bit because we are at the front, so we don't have to negotiate with other contenders how to go through the turn, and you can opt for the best racing line. As you see, it brakes very hard. We optimize it quite well, and when you brake you can just dial it in like this. Now I released the brake early because I thought I had enough drift to make it slide to the corner, which was not the case. Each car handles a little bit different, so you have to really test the car to see where it stands. And I had to brake a little bit more to have maximum cornering speed there, which I didn't, which caused me to get into trouble. But you see, even without a turbo, the setup works really nice. Also the speeds that I have tuned it for, 300 kilometers an hour, will not be attained at this track. Far too much bends. There I braked a little bit too hard, as you can see, and in the next turn I braked a little bit too little. It's now only going in 6, so see, this is much better. I didn't get into trouble there. I could just complete the turn more as intended. This is a bad thing. So even if you hit some grass, it's not a big deal. But if both of the tires that are propelling you, in this case the back tires, are off the track, you will lose a lot of speed. If only one tire is still on the track, the differential can sort you out quite nicely. Also please note that I didn't tune the differential. I think it should not be tuned that much, only by experts, and could also hamper the performance of the car if tuned incorrectly, so I just left it out as a starter guide. See, with this basic setup you already get quite good exploitable track performance. Now I brake too little. You see what happens. I got off the track. Also you see a little bit damage down to the front now. See, one tire off the track is not a big deal. Still gives you plenty of acceleration. The last wheel spin that you have So also this braking smoke, the better, because it just looks very cool, but it just means that you're losing performance. Instead of putting it on the track, you put it into the burning of rubber. So those wheels are just spinning without really getting the traction that you would love to get. You see also at the back that the first place is now, of the competitors is now being taken by this McLaren F1. Should not look, should not have looked. Okay, this is nice, but now you can see what I mentioned. McLaren F1 is now the top competitor, because this is a superior car in all. That even without any tune, this McLaren F1 is already able to reach very high top speed. Also now when he's in front of me, I can be in his slipstream. You see that now it does help that I can get a little bit higher speeds in. And when you are already in front of your opposition, it's not a bad thing when they are hitting you. Whereas when I'm hitting them, I don't brake as much as I should do, so I can close the gap a lot sooner. And he will be in some kind of trouble, some shape of trouble, because he's going too hard through that corner, and he has to brake in the later phase again to stay on the track, which makes a bigger opening for me. After he did that, you see that with his superior acceleration, he was already pushing me again, but then when he hit me at the back, he's propelling me faster out of the bend than I could do without him. So instead of just being a nuisance and destroying my perfect lines, because I have to anticipate and see what room is left by this McLaren, now he can help me become even a faster driver to the bends. So you also see that this resulted in the best lap time. So some tuning and tips and tricks.